She stepped into the dimly lit ranch house, her fingers trembling as she clutched the edge of her shawl. 10 years of solitude had taught her to hide from the world, to bury her grief deep beneath a mask of composure. The walls around her whispered echoes of laughter she once knew, a cruel reminder of a life now lost. Her heart raced as the door clicked shut behind her, leaving her with the silence that had been her only companion for a decade. Every corner of the room seemed too large, too empty. Her eyes fell on the flickering fire, its warmth promising comfort yet stirring memories she tried to escape. She remembered the last night she had felt safe in someone's arms, the night before tragedy tore everything apart. The thought made her shoulders shiver, her body betraying the emotions she had spent years concealing. A sound broke her reverie, a soft, deliberate step across the wooden floor. She froze, unsure whether it was fear or anticipation that held her in place. Then a voice, deep yet gentle, cut through the tension. "You don't have to be afraid here," he said. It was calm, grounded, reassuring. The giant rancher stood in the doorway, a presence so solid it seemed impossible to be ignored. Her lips parted, but no words came. The last decade had left her voice fragile, unused. He stepped closer, a cautious smile brushing his features, sensing her hesitation. "It's your first night in 10 years, isn't it?" he asked softly, and her heart skipped. How could he know so much about her pain, her solitude, the emptiness that had consumed her nights? She nodded, almost imperceptibly. The weight of those 10 years pressed down upon her, the memories of loss, of nights spent staring at the ceiling, counting the hours until dawn. She had shut herself away, believing no one could ever understand the depth of her loneliness. And yet, in this stranger's gaze, she saw neither judgment nor pity, only acceptance. The rancher extended a hand, rough yet comforting. "You don't have to face this alone anymore," he said. Her fingers trembled as they hovered over his, unsure if she could trust, unsure if she wanted to. Her mind screamed caution, but her heart whispered a longing she hadn't felt in a decade. A connection, a touch, a simple reassurance that she was not invisible. A tear escaped, sliding down her cheek unheeded. She hadn't cried like this in years, and the release was both terrifying and relieving. He didn't flinch or offer platitudes, he simply stayed there, silent, allowing her grief to exist without interference. The room seemed smaller somehow, more intimate, as the distance between them shrank with every heartbeat. She moved toward the fire instinctively, letting its warmth wash over her. The rancher followed, his presence a protective shadow. Her fingers grazed the edge of the armchair, and she sank into it as if into a long-lost sanctuary. He watched her with an attentiveness that felt almost sacred, acknowledging her pain without demanding explanation or apology. Her mind raced with thoughts she had long suppressed. Could she allow herself to feel safe again? Could she surrender even a fraction of the fortress she had built around her heart? The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility and fear. The rancher's steady gaze seemed to promise that the answer could be yes, if only she dared to try. "Tell me your name," he said softly, breaking the silence that had grown between them. His voice was patient, inviting, never insistent. She hesitated, the words catching in her throat. Names had power, she realized, and sharing hers felt like handing over a piece of herself she had kept locked away. After a moment, she whispered, "Elena." It was fragile, hesitant, like a butterfly testing the wind. He nodded, as if committing her name to memory, to heart. "Elena," he repeated, and there was no judgment in his voice, only warmth and recognition. It felt like the first step in a journey she had longed to take but never dared. He gestured toward a chair near the fire. "Sit, rest. You've carried a heavy burden far too long." Her body ached with fatigue, though not just from physical exhaustion. Emotional weight, years of self-imposed isolation, had left her bones tired, her spirit raw. She obeyed, sinking into the chair as if it were a lifeboat, carrying her back to shore. He sat across from her, a safe distance, yet close enough that his presence was grounding. She studied him, broad shoulders, strong hands, eyes that seemed to hold storms and sunsets all at once. He was unlike anyone she had ever met, yet something in his steadiness called to the part of her that had been frozen for 10 years. "I can't promise it will be easy," he said quietly, "but I can promise you won't be alone." The sincerity in his words made her chest tighten. Her mind fought the idea, screaming caution, but her heart trembled at the possibility. For the first time in a decade, she imagined a night without fear, a night where warmth and companionship replaced the cold shadow of grief. Tears came again, uncontrollable this time, and he didn't shy away. He reached for a blanket, draping it over her shoulders, an act so simple yet profoundly comforting. Elena felt a fragile sense of safety she had not known in years. The room, the fire, his presence, they wove a fragile cocoon around her, fragile but real. Her voice returned slowly, haltingly. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. His smile was faint, but genuine. "Because everyone deserves a chance to heal," he replied. "And because sometimes, the world can be kinder than we expect, if we let it." His words, simple and unassuming, carried a weight that resonated deep within her. The hours passed unnoticed. They shared stories, not of tragedies, but small memories, fleeting joys, moments that reminded her of life outside her grief. Each word, each laugh, chipped away at the wall she had built around herself. The rancher's patience was a balm, his understanding a light she had almost forgotten existed. Morning light spilled through the windows, soft and golden, washing over the room where Elena had spent the first night in 10 years feeling something resembling peace. She stirred, blinking against the brightness, and realized the rancher was still there, sitting quietly, watching her with a calm, protective presence. It was a scene so ordinary, yet it felt miraculous after a decade of isolation. She hesitated, unsure if she could face him, unsure if the fragile trust of last night could survive the harsh light of day. But when their eyes met, the warmth in his gaze dissolved her hesitation. He stood and extended his hand, an unspoken invitation to continue the journey they had begun, a journey of healing, of trust, and perhaps something more. The morning air was crisp as they stepped outside, the ranch sprawling beneath a clear sky. Elena had never felt the world so alive, so inviting. The simple act of walking beside someone, sharing silence without awkwardness or expectation, made her heart race. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not just for her pain, but for who she could be. They reached the stables, where the rancher tended to his horses with practiced care. Elena watched him, fascinated by the ease and confidence with which he moved. There was a rhythm to his work, a grounding presence that made her feel safe. She realized that strength and gentleness could coexist, and perhaps that balance was what she had been craving all along. "Would you like to try?" he asked, nodding toward a gentle mare. Elena's fingers trembled, but she nodded. The act of holding the reins, of feeling the horse beneath her, sparked a sense of courage she had forgotten existed. He stayed close, guiding her hands, steadying her, his touch careful, never overbearing. Hours passed in this quiet companionship. Laughter began to slip from her lips, tentative but genuine. Memories of sorrow were still there, of course, but they felt lighter somehow, less defining. She realized that her grief did not have to be the cage that controlled her life. It could coexist with joy, with new experiences, with connection. The rancher shared stories of his past, moments of loss, yes, but also moments of triumph, of resilience. Elena listened, captivated not just by the tales but by the authenticity behind them. He had scars, too, visible and invisible, and yet he carried them with a quiet dignity that inspired her. Perhaps healing could be mutual, a partnership of hearts that had weathered storms. As evening approached, they returned to the ranch house, the sky painted in hues of rose and gold. Elena felt a flutter of anticipation, of nervous excitement. This day had been extraordinary, and she sensed it was only the beginning. The rancher's steady presence, his patience and understanding, had begun to dissolve the walls she had built so long ago. Dinner was simple but shared in a way that felt intimate, filled with conversation and gentle teasing. She laughed freely, the sound light and unburdened. For the first time in 10 years, Elena felt the intoxicating possibility of happiness, not as a fleeting moment, but as something sustainable, something real. After dinner, they settled by the fire once more. The rancher reached for her hand, and this time, she didn't hesitate. Their fingers intertwined naturally, the warmth between them electric yet comforting. It was a gesture that carried years of unspoken emotions, a quiet acknowledgement that they were no longer alone. Night fell again, but this time it was different. Elena did not approach it with fear, nor did she anticipate the crushing loneliness that had haunted her for a decade. Instead, she felt a flicker of hope, a sense of possibility. The rancher's presence beside her was a shield and a promise, a reminder that connection could heal even the deepest wounds. He leaned closer, whispering softly, "You're safe now. No more hiding, no more nights alone." His words were simple, but they carried a profound weight. Alina's heart swelled, the tightness of grief slowly loosening as trust, and perhaps love, took root. She felt tears prick her eyes, but they were no longer of sorrow. They were tears of relief, of gratitude, of newfound courage. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, his touch gentle, reassuring. "I've been waiting for you," he said, and Elena realized that she had been waiting for this moment too, waiting to allow herself to be vulnerable, to trust, to live again. The warmth of his hand, the sincerity of his gaze, dissolved years of fear and doubt in an instant. Slowly, they drew closer, not in haste but in quiet mutual understanding. There was no rush, no expectation, just two souls meeting after long years of solitude, learning how to feel again. Elena felt the tension in her body melt, replaced by a sense of safety she had long thought impossible. As they sat by the fire, she rested her head against his shoulder, feeling the rise and fall of his chest beneath her ear. For the first time in 10 years, she allowed herself to breathe fully, to release the weight she had carried alone. His presence was steady, unwavering, a balm to her fractured spirit. Hours passed unnoticed, and sleep came gently, enveloping her in warmth and comfort. There were no shadows, no ghosts of the past to haunt her. Tonight, only peace, only trust, only the knowledge that she was no longer alone. The rancher's hand remained clasped around hers, a silent promise that he would remain by her side. Morning returned with soft light spilling across the ranch. Elena awoke feeling lighter, freer, ready to face a world that once seemed terrifying. The rancher was already awake, tending to the horses, but his eyes met hers with the same warmth and care that had carried them through the previous night. She rose and joined him, feeling the earth beneath her feet, the wind in her hair, and a profound sense of belonging. Together, they walked through the ranch, sharing laughter, stories, and quiet moments of connection. Each step was a testament to courage, to healing, to the possibility of love after loss. Days turned into weeks, and Elena discovered strength within herself she had long forgotten. She laughed more freely, slept more peacefully, and allowed herself to dream once again. The rancher's unwavering support and gentle presence had become a foundation she could rely upon, and in that foundation, she found freedom. They shared meals, tended the land, and explored the sprawling property together. Every shared glance, every light touch, deepened the bond between them. Elena began to see herself not as a victim of past tragedy, but as a woman capable of love, capable of joy, capable of living fully once more. One evening, under a sky full of stars, the rancher took her hands in his and said, "Elena, you've found your courage again. And I've found someone worth waiting for." She looked into his eyes, and in that gaze, she saw a reflection of her own heart, healed, hopeful, and alive. Tears of happiness ran down her cheeks, and she smiled, a radiant, unburdened smile. "I was waiting too," she whispered. The world seemed to pause in that moment, holding its breath as two hearts, once scarred, now beat together in harmony. They embraced, a perfect mix of tenderness and longing, and Elena realized that she had finally found home, not a place, but a person, a presence, a love that could heal all the years of loneliness. The rancher held her close, whispering softly, "No more nights alone, never again." And for the first time in a decade, Elena believed it. She believed in trust, in connection, in love. She believed in tomorrow, in laughter, in shared mornings and quiet nights. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that her heart was finally free to live, to love, to embrace the happiness she had long denied herself.